Yeah, the backstory behind the ranking in the Korean martial arts is quite interesting, and it's important to point out for those of you who don't practice Taekwondo, because in a lot of other martial arts, a red belt is like a grandmaster rank, 8th, 9th, 10th degree.
Right.
But in Taekwondo, it's the rough equivalent of a brown belt, and that's because the ranking was developed off of the South Korean flag. So if you're familiar with that flag, I might be able to find it here on the iPad, but it's on a white field, and the white represents purity. And then there's a ang, which is like the Korean version of yin and yang. Actually, I found it. So there we go. So you have a white field, and that represents purity, which is like being a white belt, and you're new to everything. And then you have the and ang, which you have the red and the blue, which is like hot and cold, right? Or male, female. And then that gets represented by the diagrams in each corner as heaven being opposite earth and water being opposite fire. When you have the solid bar, that's the yang, right?
Yeah.
And then the broken line is the yin. So it's roughly about the balance of the universe of hu and hina, as we would say in Hawaiian, or male and female. And it's all about that feeling of having everything be in balance. And that was important. My father served in Korea in the army, and he was there helping keep the peace. And that was very much in the consciousness of the Koreans after the Korean War. You have North and South Korea, and you're trying to preserve a delicate balance, which to this day still persists. So in Taekwondo, that's very important. And Taekwondo also an influence in Jeet Kune Do through Bruce Lee's friendship with Jun Ri of Taekwondo,
Right.
and also with my teacher in Hapkido, Jihan Jae, who you've also had the opportunity to train with. So, and who's in Game of Death. So
Right.
he's on the second floor in the gold belt in Game of Death. One thing about every Korean instructor I've ever had, mainly Jihan Jae and Junke Nam, my Taekwondo and Mudokwan instructor, but they have a very strong sense of patriotism. And so that's very important, understanding the symbolism of the Korean flag, in the sense that whatever country you are from, I would encourage you to learn about the flag of your country, because there's always something interesting to discover, and it's a symbol that connects you to the other people that are citizens in your country. And it's something that also becomes cultural. And recognizing culture also helps us recognize diversity and see the good in each other as we go about our martial path. One beautiful thing about the martial arts, in all honesty, is that it's a unifier. In martial arts, it doesn't matter what ethnicity, culture, or perceived race we might be, because we're all connected through the martial arts. Under the sky, under the heavens, there is but one family. Amen.
Right.
So, back to this, and thanks to our member watching that is a Taekwondo red belt, the meaning would go, the story would be evolved through the flag. So you're a white belt, and then you're a blue belt, and then you're a red belt. And then there's very little black on the flag because there are fewer black belts. And the old story that my teacher would tell in explaining the belt system, because later they added green and yellow to it, would be that you start as a white seed and you're planted in the ground, and then as the seed begins to grow, it gets a little bit yellow, like you have a yellow stripe on a white belt, and then it becomes golden yellow
Yeah.
as it starts to grow, and then it becomes a little bit green as a sprout starts to grow, and that's the green stripe on the yellow belt. And then when it actually sprouts, it's green.
Yeah.
And then as it reaches toward the sky, it has a little bit of blue. So you have the blue stripe on the green belt. And then as it reaches the sky, it becomes blue, right, as we see here. And then it goes toward the sun, and then it becomes red. So our viewer there, you're the red in this flag. And then eventually, as it goes out toward the universe, you have the black of space. And my teacher would say, and then you become unlimited, because space is the final frontier, and he liked Star Trek and Star Wars. And so the concept is you can go anywhere from there, because black belt really is the beginning, but it's the beginning of a path of lifelong exploration, which is really what the martial arts are about. So thank you to our viewer who is a red belt in Taekwondo, because that, I hope, has helped educate everyone on something new to consider.
Yes, that's very interesting. I really enjoyed that. That's good to know all your history and your martial arts and where the culture came from, as well as even the belt ranking we just went through just now. Like, everything has a meaning, and that should be something that you all should always look at.
And as part of the wide martial arts family, everyone trains in different things. One good thing about hybrid mixed martial arts, such as Jeet Kune Do or Kajukenbo or Danzanryu Jiu-Jitsu, is that you're welcoming all these different elements of the different styles and the different cultures that come together. As Jeet Kune Do is really not just about fighting, it's a philosophy on learning more about who you really are, you know? It chokes me up because it's something that when I first met Linda Lee, Bruce Lee's widow, that we talked about. The philosophy is really the important part, about trying to be constantly growing toward your potential to be the best human being that you can be. So it's not about just trying to be better at fighting, because the real fight for all of us is deep within.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.